Hello everyone, this is Art S. Miller at the endtimenews.org and today is March 25th, 2014. Russia demands Ukraine allows more autonomous regions. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov has demanded more autonomy for Ukraine's regions as Moscow secures its foothold in Crimea, as well as maintaining its military buildup along Ukraine's eastern border areas. Yesterday, Lavrov met with Andriy Deshitsia, Ukraine's foreign minister, where he made the demands for more autonomy in Ukraine. If Kiev agrees to Russian demands for more autonomous regions in Ukraine, it would effectively divide the country into multiple self-governing entities, allowing Moscow to acquire new territories in regions where the majority of the population speak the Russian language. Additionally, it would weaken Ukraine's already unhealthy economy and reduce its military strength to little more than a token force. Although the Kremlin would be very pleased with that outcome, the US, and in particular NATO and Europe and Kiev, would not be. Russian President Putin is playing a dangerous game of chess. Through the use of military force and intimidation tactics, he has managed to annex Crimea, a much sought-after prize for Russia, and he did so without starting a war. However, Putin's objectives may not end there, and the chance for war increases with each moving of the pieces on the board. Earlier today, while giving a press conference in the Netherlands, President Obama remarked on the Ukraine crisis. He said, "I don't think that any of us have been under any illusions that Russia has been very interested in controlling what happens to Ukraine. That's not new. That's been the case for years now. That's been the case dating back to the Orange Revolution. But what we have said consistently throughout this process is that it is up to the Ukrainian people to make their own decisions about how they organize themselves and who they interact with. And it has always been our belief that Ukraine is going to have a relationship to Russia. There is a strong historic bond between the two countries. But that does not justify Russia encroaching on Ukraine's territorial integrity or sovereignty." He went on to say, "That's exactly what happened. And I said very early on that should Russia do so, there would be consequences. And working with our European partners and our international partners, we have put in place sanctions that have already had some impact on the Russian economy. Now moving forward, we have said, and I want to be very clear about this, we are not recognizing what has happened in Crimea. But we are also concerned about the further encroachment by Russia into Ukraine." Although President Obama focused on penalizing Russia through the use of economic sanctions, NATO Secretary General focused on military action. Anders Fogh Rasmussen expressed NATO's concern over the Russian military buildup along Ukraine's borders and warned that all plans were in place to defend members of the alliance. He said, "I can assure you that we are very much concerned about the Russian military buildup along the borders of Ukraine. We are, as an alliance, focused on providing effective deterrence and defense, and all NATO allies can be assured of our determination to provide effective defense." He also said that the Western Military Alliance was discussing with Kiev how it could enhance support for Ukraine. Meanwhile, NATO's top military commander said that he was worried Russia might have its eyes on Transnistria, which is a largely Russian-speaking region that borders western Ukraine. Russia is currently conducting military drills in that region. Additionally, Russia's strategic rocket forces are said to be conducting missile drills of their strategic nuclear forces until March 29th, apparently as a warning to the West, or perhaps in preparation for their eventual use should a war break out. North Korea test-fired 2 medium-range ballistic missiles on Wednesday, which are said to have landed in the sea about 400 kilometers away. It's unclear whether the ballistic missiles were the No-Dong-1 or the Rodong-1. However, both are said to have a maximum range of 1,300 kilometers and are capable of carrying a 1,000 kilogram payload. The launch of these missiles is reported to be a violation of UN Security Council resolutions and marking a big escalation from the volley of short-range missiles fired by the North over the past several weeks. Kim Jong-un, North Korea's leader, is reported to be using the missile launchings as a means of protesting the continuing annual military drills being conducted by the US and South Korea. Kim views the drills as preparation for an invasion of his country. A U.S. State Department spokesperson said that the U.S. was closely monitoring developments and planned to take the appropriate measures and to address the threat to global security posed by North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. The spokesperson went on to say that North Korea did not issue any maritime notification warnings and that the launches using ballistic missile technology are a clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Friends, there are multiple hotspots around the planet that could easily ignite into an all-out war. North Korea, China, Syria, Lebanon, Iran, and even Ukraine. In the Asia-Pacific region, the United States has increased its military presence in order to check China's military expansion and to be prepared just in case Mad Kim goes ballistic. The Syrian civil war has no end in sight and recently has been spilling over the borders of Lebanon, Israel, and Turkey. Within the past week, Israel launched airstrikes and artillery fire into Syria directly targeting Syrian government troops and facilities. Meanwhile, a Turkish warplane shot down a Syrian fighter jet which had allegedly entered Turkish airspace. Also in the past week, reports are circulating that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has received a budget of nearly 3 billion shekels for the purpose of striking Iran's nuclear facilities. Additionally, he has ordered the IDF to prepare for that eventuality. Then, of course, we have the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, which has been compared to the buildup of World War II by multiple analysts as well as well-respected political figures. Any one of these mentioned hotspots could, with little effort, lead to a thermonuclear exchange between the superpowers, that is, those who have the capability. Russia and China are allied together. Iran, Syria, and Russia are also allied together. The Ukraine is allied with the West, which includes the US, NATO, and Europe, and in the Middle East, we have Israel. If a war begins in any of these places, then it would likely totally collapse that era of cooperation between the nations and usher in an all-bets-off scramble to secure national interest, and that means a world war. As we continue to watch these events unfold, we must recognize that what we are in fact witnessing is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. In the case of Russia, it is lining up for that devastating war of Ezekiel 38. Russia has security interest in the Middle East and has formed alliances with some of the main players which will be involved in this soon-to-take-place war. If Israel strikes Iran's nuclear facilities, it would be easy to see how Ezekiel's prophecy could take place. In Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1, "Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him." By the way, that's Russia that's being referred to here. "And say, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. I will turn you around, put hooks into your jaws, and lead you out, with all of your army, horses, and horsemen, all splendidly clothed, a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Now pay attention to this part in verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya are with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Persia is Iran, and I believe it was in 1938 or 39 that they changed their name to Iran from Persia. But in any case, going on in verse 6, it says Gomer and all of its troops, the house of Togarmah from the far north and all of its troops. Many people are with you. Prepare yourself and be ready, you and all your company that are gathered about you, and be a guard for them. After many days you will be visited. In the latter years, which is the last days, you will come into the land of those brought back from the sword, and gathered from many peoples on the mountains of Israel, which had long been desolate. They were brought out of the nations, and now all of them dwell safely. Now remember that this prophecy was written thousands of years ago. And everything that this prophecy says is going to take place is unfolding right in front of our eyes. We are living in the last days, and time is getting shorter. Are you saved? Follow the link in the box below and pray the prayer of salvation with a sincere heart, and you will be saved. May God bless you.